He's baked pies for the Pope and quiches for the Queen of England. But for President George W. Bush...
I once overheard a conversation that President Bush was concerned about his weight. He wanted to eat healthier. So for dessert, I made what I called an apple salad. So I was told that President Bush said, apple salad. Apple salad is not a dessert. Apple salad is a salad. So the next day I made a peach pie. All was well.
But the former White House executive pastry chef wouldn't trade his experience for the world.
It was thrilling. It's truly an honor. I only know how to do one thing, and that's bake. So if I could do that in some way in service to my country, I was really proud of that. I still am.
Yassis served the Bush and Obama administrations as lead pastry chef for countless state dinners, family meals, and holiday parties. The two presidents that you worked under could not be more different politically, but they had some similarities when it came to pastries.
Maybe the only thing they agreed on was they both loved traditional American desserts, pie, cobbler, ice cream, bread pudding, those kind of homey things that we all like.
We call Bill the crust master because his pies, I don't know what he does, whether he puts crack in them or...
And whether the baking is done at your house or the White House, Bill has some advice for fellow pastry chefs.
Once you have a feeling for the ingredients, for the texture of when it's mixed, when it's too mixed, when it's not mixed enough, that's the art part. And that's when it really gets fun, I think.
But Bill was one of the lucky ones. When the pandemic hit, the leisure and hospitality industry suffered significant losses. In April 2020, more than 7 million Americans lost their jobs in the service industry. 5 million of those jobs were in the food services sector. Johnny Scott, a pastry chef from Arlington, Virginia, was one of the 5 million. She was laid off twice during the pandemic.
When restaurants are doing bad, they're often the first to go because for some reason they're not seen as important as the other cooks and chefs in the positions in the restaurant.
She says pastry chefs have not had it easy for quite some time now.
It's more than what Food Network shows us. It's not all glamorous. There's a lot of very long hours. It's very physically demanding work. I lost a lot of weekends and holidays with my family. While
the leisure and hospitality sector have recovered some of their pre-pandemic losses, they're still not back to pre-pandemic levels. But there is hope restaurant goers will continue to save the best for last. Gary Grumbach, NBC News, Washington.
Thank you, Gary, for that tasty report. And joining us live now is former White House pastry chef Bill Yassis. Thank you so much for being here. I'm kind of sad you're not here in person because I think I may have gotten a pastry. Is that true? I hope so.
I usually travel with something. I don't like to go empty-handed.
Well, you can always mail it to us. But let's jump in here. I know that there was a recent feature in the Bon Appetit magazine, pretty popular magazine, and it highlighted the plight of pastry chefs that we just heard a little bit about. It was titled "Pastry Chefs Fear They're Becoming Extinct as Restaurant Margins Shrink." And the piece discusses why pastry chefs are often the first to go in a post-pandemic world with high inflation. I wonder, given that you've been so involved with this, what are your thoughts? Can the restaurant industry and subsequently pastry chefs bounce back from the effects of the pandemic?
I think so. The important thing is to remain flexible, adaptable. I mean, it is true that small restaurants, mom and pop restaurants, can rarely afford to have somebody who is only involved in pastry. For one thing, the return on the investment for pastry is a little lower. Your average check or average pastry price on a menu is half what the main course is. So what I would recommend is that people sort of diversify a little bit and maybe, train in savory as well, because it used to be the case that you would have the same person do garde-manger, which is known as salads or appetizers, and pastry. Since they usually don't hit the station at the same time, you might do the apps in the beginning of the evening and desserts at the end. So that's one way to, as a pastry chef, to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of places now are hiring one pastry chef for several outlets. So they may either use a central facility or move around and train individuals in each location to execute the desserts. So, I mean, the industry is very adaptable.
Absolutely.
And we'll find a way. But I think desserts are here to stay. If you go to a restaurant and there's no dessert menu, You might not go back.
I think desserts are definitely here to stay, and it sounds like you're talking about versatility for pastry chefs who are looking to stay in
That's
business.
right.
I wonder, though, what is one of your favorite memories from your time as the White House pastry chef? I mean, I'm sure you've seen so much and you serve so much.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, as I said in the previous segment, it's certainly an honor to be there, and I just loved sort of being a fly on the wall of history, seeing all those things. I think the best part for us, because we consider our job at the White House to be offering some moment of respite from the sort of pressure of that job for the first family. So the best times for me was when they could have family and friends over. They didn't have to be, under the microscope or in the goldfish bowl, whatever you want to call it. And we could make something that was just that we knew they liked and their friends liked. It didn't have to be designed for a state dinner. It was just like comfort food. And those were to me the most satisfying moments for both the Bush family and the Obama family.
Well, I'm sure it was really satisfying for them as well. Thank you so much, Bill, for sharing your insights and experiences with us.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.